Well, the ranking final is always a great occasion, isn't it? Two players coming through the draw of 131 on Monday morning. Best two players in the tournament doing battle over a possible 17 frames to be crowned English Open champion. And that magnificent trophy, along with a cheque for £70,000, is the prize. The Steve Davis Trophy. Will this legend be picking up the trophy, named in honour of another snooker legend, or can Kyren Wilson throw a spanner in the works? He's capable. He's won their only previous meeting.
The first frame, Ronnie O'Sullivan to break.
But to beat O'Sullivan over 17 frames, well, that is one of the tallest orders, Joe Johnson, in the sport of snooker.
Yes, it is. Exactly. And as Jimmy said, Kyren's got to knock those long balls in. He's got to try and stay with Ronnie O'Sullivan, or even stay in front. O'Sullivan took a red down the table, so not the best break-off. And it was interesting because Kyren Wilson won the toss and he put Ronnie in to bat.
One.
Has it just gone too far? Can't tell from there. Keep coming. No, he's looking at the safety.
Yellow ball. Kyren Wilson, 1.
Well, this is a half chance, and these are the kind of chances that he's been knocking in all week, Kyren Wilson. In fact, he's grown stronger with these long shots.
One area of Kyren Wilson's game which has really impressed me this week has been his scoring power. Neil Foulds mentioned that he's made 6 centuries. When you consider, Joe, that he made 16 in the whole of last season, that is clearly an area of his game that he's worked on.
Yeah, he said he's been working very hard, and it's shown. Lost heavily to Ding Junhui, but went away and worked.
Yes, he just never got going in that final of the World Open against Ding.
Well, little kisses like that will certainly help. Could have left the long red on easily there.
Touching ball.
Colin Humphreys, who has the honour of refereeing our final today, vastly experienced. Big Everton fan.
Another very good safety shot from Kyren, judging the strength on the cue ball there perfectly. difficult to judge these type of shots. I don't think he played on this red.
Foul and a miss. Kyren Wilson, 4. Okay. Thank you.
And again, he's playing into the side of the pack. But he's hit that red, didn't play to hit that red. Extended spider, so he can bridge over all those reds, trying to get the cue ball dead on the cushion behind the green. As long as he covers this red down the right side, that's a good safety. Yeah, the correct terminology was the swan neck, not the extended spider, but it's still an extended spider to reach over all those reds. And that, again, is misjudged two cushion escape. Unfortunately, didn't hit it any harder because it would have left an easy red on. As it is, he's still left a red on. He could take the black here. I mean, he's on the brown, but he could take the black and go into the pack of reds. The easy shot is the brown, of course, but this is a chance to win the frame if this goes well. Now, has he been fortunate? Is he on that red to the middle?
8.
He split them beautifully, but he could have been on something easier. And now he's in
9.
prime position. So that misjudged safety from Ronnie O'Sullivan could be costly. Well, a little too far for the red that he played for, to the left corner.
14.
Not straight enough on the one to the middle. And that poor
14,
positional
Kyren
shot.
Wilson.
Well, and it was a poor positional shot, you've got to say, because he was perfect on the blue. He'll be upset about that one, especially if it costs him the game.
1.
Could have played for this red to the right corner. The one that O'Sullivan's played for last time round, who would have been guaranteed to have been on this red to the black.
6. 7. 12. $13.
Choice of 2 reds, the way he played it.
20.
And by taking that red, it releases
21.
2 reds to the right corner. And just overscrewed the cue ball there. May have to come off the black cushion. Hasn't quite hit it hard enough to get to
26.
the black. It shouldn't be a problem to go back to the blue.
$27.
It has been a while since Ronnie O'Sullivan won his
32.
28th ranking title, February of last year, the Welsh Open, when he played
33.
quite brilliantly from start to finish. And for my money, the snooker he's produced this week so far is as good as he has conjured since that triumph. And that includes his record 7th Masters title at the start of this year. He's looked so keyed up this week to do well.
40. 41.
Well, this is what he
48.
absolutely loves doing. Punishing a mistake.
49.
Making his opponent think about the shot that they missed. It wasn't too difficult, the red that Kyren missed into the left corner. But he was probably disappointed in finishing where he did. This is the shot. He was in full control. It was down to him.
$56. 57.
So one more red needed. And it's going to be first blood to Ronnie O'Sullivan.
64. 65.
Applause for frame ball.
$72. 73.
And I've said it a couple of times this week, how many times does the great player come out and make a big break?
$80. 81.
Game at this level, particularly in a final, is all about
88.
punishing your opponent's mistakes to the full. Kyren Wilson wasn't able
90.
to punish O'Sullivan's. O'Sullivan has most certainly punished Wilson's.
93.
I'd like to know how many times he's come out the first frame and knocked in a century break.
97.
Well, this will be his 9th of the tournament.
Absolutely brilliant.
108.
He's hit the ground running. Not too shabby a start to our English Open final. Just a small matter of a 115 clearance from Rocket Ronnie O'Sullivan, punishing Kyren Wilson's error on the red after Wilson had the first opportunity in the first frame of the final. It's gone to O'Sullivan in style.
Thank you. Frame 2. Kyren Wilson to break.
Kyren Wilson largely sitting out the first frame, but he did have the first chance. Played an excellent positional shot, splitting the bunch. But then missed a red, having failed to get prime position on it, and Ronnie O'Sullivan did the rest. A 1-1-5 clearance. A blistering start to the English Open final from the Rocket.
So O'Sullivan just came down to see where he wanted to be on the black, what he would leave if he missed the red. And everybody was saying in commentary that Kyren Wilson has to take his chances when he gets them. Well, he created his own chance in the last frame, splitting the back of reds, as Philip said. And it was down to him that he lost it, and that's what hurts. That's what hurts a snooker player. This should have been mine. Well, Sullivan's taking all my sweets, and I bought them.
One of Kyren Wilson's great strengths, though, is his mental toughness. He's a battler, not called the warrior for nothing, so I think he is one of those players capable of forgetting about that, focusing on the moment in hand.
It's a good safety. Kyren's played there. No easy path back to balk. He may have to just leave the cue ball on the black cushion. Well, he's going to clip this red thin. Just got to hit the paint. Otherwise,
Kyren Wilson
he finds a pocket. Anxious looks there from Ronnie O'Sullivan to see if the red will cut to the middle. Just caught it a touch too thick. Well, it wasn't easy, to be fair to him. It was an extremely thin cut. Saving grace is that he doesn't look like he's left anything. Great shot.
1.
And could have had a kinder kiss.
Wilson's long game was a feature of his victory in their only previous meeting in Northern Ireland last season. Barely missed one, as Ronnie acknowledged in his chat with Neil ahead of this match. Wow.
Kyren Wilson, 1.
Well, the look on Kyren Wilson's face, which he may not have caught just out of camera shot, told the story there. He thought he'd underhit it.
Yeah, and there's no need to hit it that slow because the yellow would have stopped the brown. And it would still have finished as close as that. Misjudged that one again.
Foul and a miss. Kyren Wilson, 6. Yeah.
O'Sullivan could so easily have left the red on there. It caught the pink fuller.
Okay.
Would have left easy reds.
Thank you.
Made the slight adjustment there. And the pink in the way of sending the cue ball down the table. So a little bit of a problem here. May have to just touch into the reds. Unless he stuns down the table towards the green. Well, just touching into the reds, but he's going to be down the table next shot, and I don't recommend this shot. Well, brought that one on himself. Playing into the pack of reds, could have stunned down the table, but didn't want to take the risk. Now he's lost the safety advantage. He should be able to land into the pack of reds without leaving anything, but again, he leaves an easy safety. Maybe if he came off 2 cushions and landed up into the back of the reds, but that's risky. Attempting to hit the red thin off the cushion. Like that. And that was a superb shot. Appreciated by Ronnie O'Sullivan with the tap on the table. And that's his confidant. He helps him, Barry Stark. His mentor. His coach. Misjudged the pace there, O'Sullivan. And this is definitely a chance to try and get the white ball and open the reds. Get the white ball in behind the brown and yellow. Play an attacking safety. And forget that it's Ronnie O'Sullivan you're playing. Well, let's open the reds, but has he got the speed? Has he got the speed? He hasn't. When you open the reds like that, you've got to get the cue ball where you want it.
One.
And this isn't a bad kiss on the red because it's left him with a nice angle on the blue to come in and out of balk. This could be good. Look at that for a positional shot. That's the only red he could play for, and look where he's finished on the red. Couldn't have picked it up and put it in a better place. Trying to open the reds up, screwing off the reds, and it didn't work out. So just the snooker behind the brown.
Ronnie O'Sullivan, 7.
That was all about speed, and he's judged it well. Another clever shot there from O'Sullivan, playing the cue ball in behind the green, covering the reds, forcing Kyren Wilson to play this red. Yeah, good speed on the cue ball from Kyren. Well, a little harder, the red would have been in. Now the question is, can Kyren Wilson get to the red? That's very difficult to send the red onto the red. There is another red, and this is the one that he's playing, but has to hit it fairly full for the red to drop. Played it well. Played that cue ball into the baulk area just in case, knowing full well that he was on the green if it went in. So this is another good chance for Kyren Wilson. And you can see the determination on his face. Like to get the black back on its spot as soon as possible. And the best red he could have been on was the one just to the left of the black spot. Not sure if you can see that red or...
Five, yeah.
Colin Humphries clearing the cue ball.
Ten.
He wanted to come past the black, but fortunately he's still in with a chance. He played the cannon to the red to stay on the black, but fortunately he can still pot the black, although it's not as easy as it would have been. Well played. That was missable.
$18. 19. 26. 27.
'Well, again, he's not ideally on this red.
34.
Should still pot it.
$35. 40. 41.
Not ideally on the black, but he is on the pink as well. So choice of balls to take.
$48.
52 points, the difference. And because he's played for the green, he needs another red now. Certainly didn't want to be playing with the rest. Well, is it a change of plan? Going to play the brown? Problem with that is that the yellow could be in the way, or is he playing the yellow? Full ball kiss on the blue leaves him nicely on the red to the corner, just needs the red.
53.
And again, frame ball with the rest. That adds to the pressure. And he knows if he misses this, could be end of frame. Well, didn't go in cleanly, but it went in. So looks like it's going to be one frame each.
And very important for Kyren Wilson to respond quickly to the disappointment of losing the opening frame when he did have the first chance.
61.
We know what a great front runner Ronnie O'Sullivan is at his best.
$62. $68. 69.
And every chance of another century break. What a start to this tournament. This final, I mean.
$74.
Oh, unfortunate.
No century, but that was just what the doctor ordered for Kyren Wilson after losing the first frame to the 115 clearance from Ronnie O'Sullivan. He hits back with a frame-winning break of his own. 74 to level the scores at the start of the English Open final.
Thank you. Frame 3. Ronnie O'Sullivan to break.
A very promising start to the English Open final. Ronnie O'Sullivan with a century in the opening frame. Kyren Wilson responding well with 74 to level at one apiece. 6 more frames, of course, in this first session. 2 more before the first interval. 9, the magic number to be crowned champion. And that's not a good break-off.
Yes, he's broke twice, and he's brought that red down the table twice. Kyren Wilson's potted it twice. Normally breaks off so well, O'Sullivan. You don't see a red to pot, that is. Yes, smile, you're on telly. I said smile. immediately coming down for this red above the black. And he's just a little short of pace, but he's got one to the middle.
Six.
Finish straight on the blue, and it's going to make a difference, that, because this red to the right corner, the red he could play for, the black doesn't go, so he would have to play that with screw on the cue ball, makes it more difficult.
$11. $12.
And just overrun the position slightly. And he can go into them here if he wants to. Didn't play to hit them. Played to slide past the reds, bounce off the cushion for the red above the black.
17. Kyren Wilson, 17.
Well, there is a red that will go to the right corner. It's a thin one, just above the black. You could take the cue ball back to the balk area just in case he misses it. That's the red. But he's looking at the long straight one. But there's more danger with this one. So close. Had it gone in, he was nicely on the black. Well, that was a really attacking shot he played there, and he checked out what he was leaving. Could only leave the red he was playing on. I mean, it could have been a frame winner.
I remember speaking to Kyren before they played in Northern Ireland last year and asked him about how he might go about trying to get the better of the Rocket, and he said, well, you have to attack. There's absolutely no point trying to contain O'Sullivan because it's only a matter of time before you come off second best. He's just too good. So you have to try and impose your game on him if you possibly can. And certainly he looks to play the attacking shot, doesn't he?
Well, that's what McGill did yesterday, and it started to pay off for him. He was on top at one stage, and it was only a bit of O'Sullivan brilliance in the last frame. Well, that was another very attacking shot.
And the thing about attacking is that sometimes you get lucky.
So, sending the cue ball into the balk area, trying to hide this red over the pocket with the blue. And that's a very attacking shot as well. That's put Wilson in a bit of trouble. Quick look by O'Sullivan tells him that he's left an escape route for Kyren. Just a little too hard with the safety. A little fortunate. I'm not sure if he hit the wrong red there. Hasn't left anything except an easy safety shot. Just got to be careful not to push one over the right corner. Another very good safety shot. A packed house here today. It's a sellout. And the atmosphere is electric. And it's nice to see big breaks by both players, but it's also very interesting to see the safety, how each player is trying to get in, win the frame, but at the same time can't go for anything silly because could lose the frame. Well, what about that? And he found the path through the reds. That could be a frame winner. It deserves to be. What a fantastic red.
Once again, his long potting this week, most notably against Alexander Ursenbacher in the semi-finals, has been quite outstanding, perhaps the best of any player in the tournament. And that was as good as it gets.
Well, it was a red that cost O'Sullivan the last frame. He took the red on down the cushion, so he was positive. He took the red on, but it cost him the frame. If you don't pot them, and you can so easily leave your opponent a chance, but he didn't miss that one, Wilson. Full credit to him. It was a tough safety. Gave it lots of thought. Weighed up all the options. And now he's in with a good chance. At this stage, it's not a frame-winning chance with those 6 reds around the black spot. but a big enough target to open them up at some stage. Well, that's one thing you can't do. And what a good kiss that was. He was plumb on the red now by the pink.
Well, he overcooked the positional side of the red, didn't he? Because he wanted the blue in the centre. Left it to the corner, always that little bit more difficult.
Yeah, but this was a good kiss on the blue, which knocked the cue ball down the table, making this red missable. Didn't feel comfortable on the shot, so got up. Good pot. And didn't play it with safety in mind. Played for the pink. And he knew he was going to be leaving a red on. Most players would have screwed up for one of the baulk colours, just in case they missed the red. Not O'Sullivan. Well, Kyren will be thinking to himself, here we go again, I've missed an easy ball. And handed O'Sullivan the initiative.
8.
Having created the opportunity with that quite outstanding opening red.
Well, it deserved to win the frame, that red. But you don't always get what you deserve. Gotta get the rest of them. But as I said when Wilson was at the table, this isn't straightforward by any means. And he
15.
may have come too far for the black. Yep, he has. So has to take the more difficult pink.
Yes, sir, okay.
Don't move the marker. Another very good pot, that. And there was lots of pressure on it again.
21.
Now, he could leave an angle on the pink to be able to go into the reds.
$22.
So he's got the choice whether to go into them or play for that loose one and try and open them up from that red. Has he been fortunate?
28.
Body language says yes.
$29.
What he'd like to do is leave an angle on this next red so he can nudge those two reds closest together into play. He's going to need them at some stage and stay on the black. So this is a delicate little shot he's going to be playing here.
35.
Where's the cue ball?
36.
He's okay, but he's not ideally on a colour. Couldn't play the shot I explained. One good pot here. Well, he's got some bottle, this man. Again, that was missable. Great shot again from O'Sullivan.
40.
19 points the lead now.
Not
quite hard enough to get back to the reds. May have to go in and out of balk.
20 the lead, still 51 on the table.
What a great way to get on the red. Took the risk on hitting the yellow. But a beautiful shot there from O'Sullivan.
.48.
So 27, the difference. 33. He's red in the colour.
.54.
Just checking the scoreboard to confirm that. Would you believe that?
54.
Yeah, he's handed the frame to Kyren Wilson. And that's how
Furious.
upset he is.
Never looked in. Oh, what a reprieve. O'Sullivan, disgusted with himself. Seemed to have done all the hard work there. That was a lovely little break to put him on the cusp of the frame.
I think he just tried to make sure of it.
Still a bit to do, though, isn't there, for Wilson? The blue's tied up.
Yeah, that's his only hope, I think. And this red on the cushion's not a gimme. Doesn't want to be absolutely straight on the cushion. But didn't want to be that far away from it. That's not a good shot from Kyren.
8.
This is now a very tough red. I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't take it on. It's so tough, this red. And it's going to be over the pocket if he misses it. He hasn't missed it, though.
9.
Excellent pot. But hasn't got the angle on the black to get to the yellow. Not easily, anyway. Very straight. Just a little bit of an angle. And played that one well.
.16.
Will he pay the price?
Still thinking about that red. Little shake of the head from O'Sullivan.
Just shows you, though, Phil, you can miss anything at this game. Anybody can. And that came
18.
close to missing too.
Yeah, it wasn't pressure that he missed that red for. It was, yes, he just took his eye off the pot at the last moment. Very surprising from O'Sullivan.
Well, not ideal on the green. Got to try and leave an angle on the brown to bring blue into play. And that's just
20.
about right. Now, do you play the cannon or drop in behind it? I think I'd play the cannon. He needs them all. Needs to slow down. Oh, he's pushed it too far. So O'Sullivan will be coming back to the table. This is the red that Ronnie missed. And he wanted to really hit the table there, but held himself back.
Kyren Wilson,
Good safety
25.
to finish with.
Very early in this final, and it's only a one-frame advantage for whoever wins frame 3, but it'll be a frustrating one for whoever loses it. They both had chances. Clever shot from O'Sullivan. Full ball kiss to get the cue ball back to safety.
Very nearly got the snooker. He's looking at the potting angle. Doesn't want to look. Great pot. And you could say a little unfortunate with that angle. Very difficult to get to the black from where he is. Another great pot. Oh, that's unfortunate.
5, Kyren Wilson.
So unfortunate. It just didn't get enough side on the cue ball. Well, the cue ball didn't get close enough. Well, it did get close enough to the middle, so it was the side. So 9 points the difference. O'Sullivan needs the pink.
To get out of jail.
Played the cue ball to the cushion just in case he missed it. And again, I don't know if it's worth taking a pot on because he can't get to the black. If he could kiss the black towards the pocket, maybe worthwhile taking on. Another great pot that tried to swing the cue ball into the black and just missed it.
He's knocked some long balls in this week, hasn't he, Wilson? But he needs something special again here.
Well, does he go for the pot now, Philip? Or the safety, the double? What is it? It's the cut. Oh, would you believe it? Stayed on the lip. I thought it was in.
So did Ronnie O'Sullivan. The look on his face suggested he couldn't believe that had stayed out. And you have to say that the Rocket's been a bit fortunate in this frame. Mr. Short Range Red. Kyren Wilson unlucky to go in potting the pink. And that'll be a big relief to the 5-time world champion. Somehow he gets the third frame on the board and leads by 2 frames to 1.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Frame 4, Kyren Wilson to break.
Well, there is the magnificent trophy these two players are competing for today. An eventful third frame in the English Open final. Ronnie O'Sullivan missing a short range red when he was on the cusp of winning it. Kyren Wilson a little unlucky on the colours not to deny him, leaving the black right over the pocket. So this, the final frame before our first interval. Another 5 still to play in this session.
Yes, and we do like it when there's lots of drama in a frame, and there was plenty in that last one. Well, what an attacking shot this is. But it needs to be behind the brown. Otherwise, there's reds over both pockets. Well, looks like he can get to this red down the left side of the table. But not a gimme. So, Kyren Wilson opens the reds up.
1.
It's O'Sullivan who's in with the chance. Well, he's thinking of playing the brown. No, switch to the green. But the blue looks to be the ball for me. Just a little cannon. He's right behind the shot, and sometimes the angle looks easier on television.
Five. Twelve. 13.
That's similar to the shot that he missed. Well, he's underhit that one by a long way. Had to come to the cushion.
20. 21. 28.
Yes, slightly straight on the blue. That's a mistake.
These are certainly missable.
35.
Right in the middle. Very dead right. It was missable. Delightful positional shot for choice of 2 reds to the right
38.
corner.
39. $46. 47.
Now, I could play a cannon to the red above and to the right of the black. Just a gentle one, like that, and he's on reds to the right corner. Well, he opened the reds up, played a very attacking safety shot,
55.
and it was just a fraction of an inch too hard. Straight on the black, so the positional side of the shot not guaranteed. And still needs another red and a colour. Well, he's played that one well. How he pinched Eddie on the pocket there, because it was straight, the black.
63.
The last 2 frames took 50 minutes. This one, less than 10.
And aside from the short range red he missed in the previous frame, it's been pretty impressive stuff from O'Sullivan. The opening salvo of 115 after Kyren Wilson had missed a red was particularly impressive.
69.
Wilson hitting back with a break of 74 to level, and was perhaps a little unfortunate not to win the third in the end. Yeah, that wasn't far away from staying out, and you saw O'Sullivan
76.
grimace. He knows he didn't hit that as nicely as he wanted to,
77.
but it doesn't matter.
And with everybody else, I just love watching O'Sullivan play. He makes things happen. Puts big breaks
84.
in when he absolutely needs them.
85.
When he's in full flow, there is nothing quite like it in the game of snooker.
92. 93.
And another century.
His 10th of the tournament. The 892nd of his career. Incredible.
101.
Kyren Wilson was perhaps 2 millimetres away from landing that cue ball behind the brown, and who knows, had he done so, these might have been his
106.
Those are the margins.
Yes, he deliberately opened the reds up. He was feeling super confident, and that's what he said to his opponent with that shot. And his opponent is Ronnie O'Sullivan. He could see one red, just made a total clearance.
118.
The session bookended by two brilliant century breaks from Ronnie O'Sullivan.
124.
And an early advantage. Kyren Wilson resigned to being 2 frames adrift at the first interval. There's a long way to go, but O'Sullivan is looking ominously good, as he has done throughout the week. A 1-3-1 clearance. Brilliant stuff from the Rocket, as he takes a 3-1 interval lead with 4 more frames to come in this first session.
You hear me okay now?
Ronnie O'Sullivan will be delighted with that 3-1 advantage. 2 sensational century breaks. Kyren Wilson hasn't played poorly by any means, and might have shared that mini session. As it is, 2 frames adrift, with 4 to come in this first session. So the bare minimum you would have to think, as again O'Sullivan brings a red back with him towards baulk. That's the 3rd time he's done that today.
Yeah, 3 breakoffs. 3 times he's brought the red down the table, but this time he's covered it.
Yes, parity in this mini session now is the bare minimum you would think for Kyren Wilson. Well, he gritted his teeth and went for it, and Ronnie O'Sullivan, I think, thought it was in. And then the match has a different complexion, doesn't it? If that black disappears, Joe, 2-1 to Kyren, and a rather different feel about the first session.
Absolutely. Puts Ronnie O'Sullivan under pressure if that black goes in. And then he opens the reds like he did in the last frame, and he gets the snooker this time round. It's a lot of ifs and buts, isn't it? But stayed on the lip. I thought it was in coming across the table, I've got to say. Great shot. And unfortunate not to be on the black. Had the black gone into that corner pocket. Now, can he see enough of the pink to pot it? Looks like he can. Well, deserved to be on something for that wonderful shot down the cushion. I should have seen to the corner pocket. Referee just trying to see if that pink will go on the spot. If not, as close to its spot as it can do in a direct line.
Thank you. 7. Thank you. 8.
Black now free to that left corner.
$13. $14. $21. 22. 29. 30. 37. 38.
So that little rub on the red has now developed it to the left corner.
$45. 46.
Well, not straightforward now. The wrong side of the blue, the wrong side of the pink. Although you could take the blue on to the left corner. And now back in prime position.
51. 52.
Under-hit it again, but should be able to go up for the blue or pink.
$60.
$75 still on the table.
Another red and a colour.
65. $66.
Just make sure of the black. And a good opening frame from the interval for Kyren Wilson.
Exactly what was required.
74.
Well, he's been winning frames with one visit all week, and that's what he's got to do today. Can't do better than that, winning a frame at one visit. Tried to bring the red off the cushion.
79.
That's the long red that he got in with. A little fortunate, maybe, to be on the pink.
79.
Wait for it, wait for it. 80.
80.
Yeah, and I think he deserved that fortune, because with a red over the opposite pocket, he knew he was leaving O'Sullivan in if he missed. He's not lacked for courage today, Wilson. He's always played the positive shot. Sometimes it's worked for him, other times it hasn't.
86.
This should be a real confidence booster. A big break to move back to within a single frame.
87.
Now closing in on his 7th century of the week.
$93. 94.
Just a little bit heavy, but it was a good way to get to the yellow, to the last red from the yellow. Nicely played.
97.
When he attacks the balls, Kyren Wilson, he is some player, and he must put real fear into his opponents when he's playing like this.
And he's now equalled his century tally this season from the whole of last, which I think is a measure of how he's improved his game when it comes to making the most of his chances at one visit. That was his only chance today against O'Sullivan. Score heavily when he got the opportunity. He's done so here. He's got to keep it going.
Kyren Wilson, 109.
But that's a very promising start to the post-interval mini-session here in Barnsley as O'Sullivan heads off for a comfort break. Kyren Wilson is back within a frame of the rocket, courtesy of that excellent 109. He trails 3-2.
Thank you. Frame 6, Kyren Wilson to break.
Kyren Wilson breaking off fresh from that excellent 109 break to close the gap to a single frame. 3 more in this session. Possible 9 this evening if we go the distance. Tremendous cueing and unlucky.
So nearly came off this, didn't it? Great long pot and a thicker kiss on the red, and it'd be nicely on the black. Just a safety. It's got to miss that red to the left of the blue.
Ronnie O'Sullivan, 1.
Perfect speed.
Average frame duration, just over 17.5 minutes. Seen 3 centuries, a 74 and a 54, so the standard has been exceptionally high. .96% is quite outstanding. Now, what's the damage? Don't think he can see enough of that red to pot it. The one below it he can pot, but difficult to get to a colour. You may have to screw off the reds. You won't know where the cue ball's going to finish. Deep screw off these reds. He needs a full ball kiss.
1.
And he didn't get it. This is a tough green. Never short a bottle, O'Sullivan. Well, I'd like to get the black back on its spot as soon as possible. But I don't think he can get to it this time round.
Five. $11. 12. 18. 19.
This is when O'Sullivan is at his brilliant best. And
26.
amongst the reds, the forensic precision with which he moves that cue ball around, as Kyren Wilson wonders if he's going to fall 2 frames adrift again.
27. $33. $34.
Well, that was a delicate shot he played there. Had to be so accurate. But he's on the black, just. And that's opened the rest of the reds up.
41. $42.
Well, a little short of pace. Could have played for the pink to the right corner. Look at the right-hand side on the cue ball there. And he's on this red to the right
47.
corner.
$48.
And can stun over the table for these 2 reds to the left corner. I think the top one will go. And that releases the other one to the right corner. So looking good this for O'Sullivan.
54. 55.
Yeah, just got to be careful because he needs one more red. Doesn't want to be playing any fancy cannons. So make sure he can get to the red.
$62.
Two snookers needed.
63.
In his 42nd year now, O'Sullivan. But no signs that his skills
69.
are in any way dimming.
70.
Tried to develop the reds.
77. Ronnie O'Sullivan, 77.
Another tremendous break from the Rocket, 77, to keep clear blue water between himself and his opponent. And a guaranteed share of the spoils at worst for O'Sullivan. With 2 more frames to come, he leads 4-2.
Thank you. Frame 7. Ronnie O'Sullivan to break.
Steve Davis won 28 ranking titles. Ronnie O'Sullivan has the same tally, but the way he's going, he's going to nudge in front of the 1980s legend. 4-2 up, scoring superbly. 115, 131, 54 and 77 just now to move 4-2 in front of Kyren Wilson.
Well, if ever he needed one of his long reds, this is it. Could have done without the kiss. Although that red, the last one moving, has blocked the pocket for the black going in this left corner, which has helped him. Still taking them on, still being positive. Sullivan moving the red, that's stopping the black going in this corner. Deliberately so.
O'Sullivan now with the comfort of knowing that he can't be trailing going into this evening's concluding session, but of course he wants to do some more damage. Kyren Wilson, the minimum from here is to share the remaining 2 frames. Hasn't played poorly by any stretch. He's just been outplayed so far.
Yeah, he wants to take this long red onto the right corner, but is aware of the consequences. Brave shot. Fraction harder, it would have been fairly safe. Sorry, a fraction softer. Fraction harder, there'd have been a red onto the left corner, so he judged it fairly well, the speed. Caught it too thick, and that's a mistake.
With O'Sullivan scoring as heavily as he is, of course, every shot that Kyren Wilson plays has that little bit of extra pressure on it, knowing that if he gets it slightly wrong, he's likely to be punished.
Played it with a touch of left-hand side on the cue ball to check it through that gap. And played one of the baulk colours to make sure he was on the colour.
Five. Six. 12. $13.
Played for the red just below the pink, so that he could play for the pink to the right middle. And that opens the pink up to the corner and the middle, if this shot goes right.
19.
Amazing how he always picks the right red to play for. That opens the game up. Played for the plant here to the left corner.
25.
It's like the Gary Kasparov of snooker, isn't he, Ronnie O'Sullivan? You get the feeling he's thinking about 7 or 8 moves
26.
ahead of where he is right now. Can see the shot miles before he eventually comes to play it.
And by taking this red, frees the pink into all these pockets.
32.
I think the victory over John Higgins was very significant for O'Sullivan, because he had been on the wrong end of a couple of defeats
38.
by the Wizard. And to win in the manner in which he did, from 2-3 behind,
39.
after a couple of tremendous pressure balls from long range, which had he missed them, might have seen him lose. I think that demonstrated to him just where his game's at right now, which is in a very, very good place.
$45. $46.
He's got the angle to play the cannon to the reds, but also there's a red that will go to the left corner. And that's the one he's played for.
$52. $53.
Oh, that seemed to spring off the cushion. So maybe a change of plan. Again, lots of left-hand side on the cue ball, and that's worked out very nicely.
58. 59. $65.
Another frame that's flown by. And another frame that, barring snookers, has gone the way of Ronnie O'Sullivan.
And Kyren Wilson didn't really have a chance in this frame. He had a chance at a long red, then played a poor
72.
safety.
73.
And this is the result. Another clinical, punishing frame-winning contribution.
Yeah, I mean, could be another century. He's a machine.
78. $79.
Kyren Wilson started this mini session in the best possible way, a century of his own, to close to just a frame behind. But that's only served to inspire O'Sullivan
86.
to find another gear. He can do no wrong at the moment.
87.
The crowd certainly liked that one.
Oh, what a shame.
Ronnie O'Sullivan.
It looked like
87,
being another
and the frame.
century, but Ronnie O'Sullivan will be more than happy with 87 because it puts him 5-2 in front now, 3 clear for the first time, and with a guaranteed lead of at least 2 frames at the end of this session. Could it be 4? We'll find out shortly.
Final frame of the session. Kyren Wilson to break.
And a seismic frame for the man about to break off, Kyren Wilson. The difference between 6-2 and 5-3 going into the concluding session from 7 o'clock tonight. Ronnie O'Sullivan with 2 big breaks, frame-winning breaks yet again to power into that 5-2 lead. .96% over 7 frames is outstanding. Oh, goodness me, if he starts potting those, we might as well all go home.
Well, he hasn't missed many, has he? Another cracking shot. Lots of top spin on the cue ball. It's taken down perfectly onto the blue. Now, will he play for the red just above the black, which brings the black into play? He would like to have come down a little bit further.
6.
But he might still be able to pot this red and play the cannon to the red to the side of it, develop the black. Didn't want that red to come back and block the pocket. And it didn't. Well, what can he do about it? He left the long red out. It was a tough one.
15. $22. 23. 30. 31.
'He's in that mode at the moment, isn't he, O'Sullivan, where
38.
you just can't imagine him missing.
Yes, and the ones that he has missed, he wasn't punished for. Very nearly was.
And that third frame seems to take on
39.
greater significance with every passing point right now. A frame that Kyren Wilson might have won, very nearly did win.
Didn't quite get into the reds as he wanted.
44.
Maybe a bit of a life for Kyren Wilson. Well, can't miss.
45.
And he's got the angle to go into them.
Just a glimmer of hope there for a moment for Kyren Wilson, snuffed out with that brilliant recovery red.
Well, maybe
52.
another glimmer of hope if he can't see enough of this red to the middle. 217 points without reply.
53.
And now back in ideal position, and you fear the worst for Kyren Wilson here.
Who's done very little wrong. Made the
58.
perfect start after the interval with his own century break.
59.
But when O'Sullivan's in this mood, he's nigh on unplayable. And it's great to see him playing this well again. We didn't see much of this
64.
particular vintage of Rocket last season. The highlight, obviously, his Masters title.
65.
But he's looked back to his very best for a lot of this event. And he's carried that form into the final when it matters most.
Yeah, just regrouping. He knows that this is frame ball.
In just over 5 minutes.
72. 73.
An absolute delight to watch for everybody here, ourselves included.
A packed house.
80.
Getting their money's worth.
81.
Could have had a century in the last frame.
Well, we've heard about naughty snooker.
88.
This is scary snooker.
He even pots balls that don't
89.
go. That didn't go. He had to play it with a lot of right-hand side on the cue ball.
$96.
No, we don't want that in. Oh, what a shame.
It is a shame. He deserved a century. That was quite sensational snooker from Ronnie O'Sullivan. From 3-2 up, he just powers away in the remainder of our first session in the final of the English Open. Is that an unassailable lead? You get the sense it might be. 6 frames to 2. Kyren Wilson, who hasn't played badly, has it all to do. Ronnie O'Sullivan, simply sensational.
So the stage is set for what would appear to be the coronation of Ronnie O'Sullivan as English Open champion, but Kyren Wilson is a very determined and very talented match player. He will not have given it up yet, for sure. The Steve Davis Trophy is what they're playing for, £70,000 to the winner. O'Sullivan leads 6-2 and needs 3 more for victory. He's had breaks of 115, 54, 131, 77, 87 and 96. Wilson's best effort 74 and 109. Of course, he lost that very tight third frame on the black. Got to make a good start, Neil.
Yes, that's an absolute must here, because if he goes any further behind, it's almost as if it's a continuation of what was happening this afternoon, an onslaught towards the end of that session in favour of O'Sullivan, who really had everything. Just all the skill and talent over a career was back. Scoring heavily, potting long balls, the full works. Well, that's a brilliant pot. And to be honest, it's a hallmark of how Kyren has played all week. His long potting has been brilliant. And I think right now he's probably the best long potter in the game. Right now, things can change.
Yeah, it's been just about half an hour playing time since he potted a ball. Didn't pot a single ball in the last 3 frames this afternoon.
Essentially, David, it came down to the fact that you just can't pot any balls when you're sitting watching your opponent play. It wasn't like he was missing much, was it?
No, that's right. It was a bit of an exhibition in the end from O'Sullivan. Looked superb, as he has done all through this tournament. Probably the best he's played throughout a tournament since he won his last ranking title 20 months ago. Welsh Open 2016.
I'd have to agree with that. I mean, obviously the Masters is not ranking. That'll go back, by the way. But when he won it last winter, last early January, You know, he won it without playing at his best, Sullivan. A good session in the semi-final against Marco Fu, but I think you're absolutely spot on. The Welsh Open over 18 months ago, he played similar to this, scoring very heavily.
Yeah, and what links the two events is that also started with a little bit of controversy. Remember the 146 that could have been 147, and he said he didn't feel there was enough money up for grabs for that, so took a pink. Of course, this week there's all sorts of talk of pulling out. He'd hurt his foot. He wasn't happy that he had to change the colour of his trainers and all that. Distant memory now, all that, isn't it? Because he's dazzled us on the table. Sometimes I think he does need a few things just to sort of fire him up again. And anyway, he's here in the final. He's played terrifically well. 2 hours playing time. Not a slow match by any means. The only lengthy frame was that third one.
Yes, and as we were saying at the time, if that had gone the other way, then 5-3 is more respectable. Sometimes it's the close frames that are won or lost that are the difference between two players. Century breaks, well, they kind of speak for themselves, don't they?
Speaking of which, he's had 10 this week, Ronnie O'Sullivan, 10 centuries. Marco Fu, last year in the Scottish Open that he won, had 11. But remember, most of the matches here have been best of 7s, so to make 10 centuries and still the 3 frames to be won, that's very impressive. Could have had a lot more this afternoon. The last 3 frames, he could have had 1 in each frame.
Yes, Dave, I noticed on your stats sheet for today, you've kept on crossing out the amount of centuries and putting the new one in. 892. His 900th century will come when? Belfast, perhaps? Got tournaments before then. The way he's playing, I don't think it'll be a long time after that. For now, though, the most important thing is not the centuries, it's picking up another ranking tournament. And it would put him level with John Higgins on 29, should he win tonight.
Yes, the irony for O'Sullivan, if he does win, is that he will go past Steve Davis on 28 titles by winning the Steve Davis Trophy. John Higgins did that at the Indian Open. But the match isn't over yet, and this young man, Kyren Wilson, as I say, very tough, and he will see this as a challenge. Try and put pressure early on and make it closer. Go to that interval after 4 frames, having won the mini session.
I think that shot alone tells us what we need to know about that he's going to be positive. But sometimes fortune favours the brave, because he's left fairly awkward queuing, which is not really a shot that you'd expect him to go for. He got mighty close to potting it. Sometimes that side angle camera that we showed you there tells you how difficult and how far away those long pots are. And he's quite an awkward piece of queuing here. You can only get to one red centre striking, the one on the right. All others right over the top of the green. So again, playing a touch shot into the bunch. This could go wrong, not a very wide target. I wonder, has that red pushed through to become potable? Ronnie anxiously has a look. There's not much room to play with if it does go. It appears that he can get through to it. It really is fractions we're talking here. He's going to go into other reds. Doesn't really know where the cue ball will finish. And he's gone up. He went over the reds. How did he not touch one there?
One.
How did he not go into a red? Goodness, he jumped over them. There's not even a ball's width between those two reds, which is a legal shot, by the way. amazing. My goodness, what a great shot that is. The game has changed a lot in the last 25, 30 years.
3.
Go back far enough, that would have been a tickle up behind a colour. Instead, he's crunched it into the middle bag with Q power. I think he's one of the players in the game now, hits the balls hard. Hits them harder than anyone else, I think, at the top. And he seems to maintain his accuracy.
He's got a terrific attitude, Kyren Wilson. He really is dedicated to the sport. Very much a family man. He's just, his wife has just given birth to their second son, Bailey, a brother to Finley. His parents, Rob and Sonia, are here as well. Very grounded. He has, as we've mentioned earlier in the tournament, Barry Stark in his corner, a former player himself, who I think is a good mentor to him. And of course, this is his second final of the season. He was in the World Open final. Lost 10-3 to Ding a few weeks ago in China.
11.
There are his parents, proudly watching on, pretending not to notice themselves on the monitor.
Yes, I guess it's in his mind that he lost that final heavily in the World Open to Ding Junhui, 10-3, having played ever so well to get there. Which kind of tells you one thing. A, he's very consistent. He's moving through to a higher level. You know, on the one-year list, on this year's points alone, he's world number 3. Behind Luca Brissell and Ding Junhui, who've scored the most points. It's also a reminder that if he's going to be the best player in the world, he's going to have to raise his game even more, because this final could conceivably
17.
go the same way as that final did in China recently. Over in Yushan. Now that's
18.
a little bit of a lack of touch. He played to stun through it. And not one of his best, to be honest.
Kyren Wilson, 18.
Not enough under the circumstances, but at least he's finished with a secure shot rather than giving O'Sullivan a chance to continue where he left off this afternoon. Making the point earlier on, David, that we got to the last 16, had 9 different nationalities, really new selection of players coming through. A Swiss player, Iranian player, an Indian player was doing well, Aditya Mehta, but ultimately in the English Open, we're left with 2 Englishmen in the final, so not quite the revolution of players from around the world taking over the game yet.
No, but I think there's greater strength in depth now than ever, and when we saw, obviously, Alexander Urschenbacher from Switzerland get to the semi-finals. No one really predicted that before the tournament began. But yes, we've ended up with, I suppose, a veteran, really, in Ronnie O'Sullivan. It seems strange to say, but it's 24 years since he won his first ranking title. And Kyren Wilson firmly established as a member of the top 16.
Whether you like it or not, Ronnie is a veteran, but you don't seem to associate that word with him. He's still very young at heart, isn't he? He still plays snooker like a young man. Tell you what, he's got all the shots. That's a wonderful safety shot. That is a classy shot by any standard.
There is Barry Stark, who I mentioned earlier, in Kyren's corner.
Now, more seats put in over that far side. That was actually where the second table was, where you can see beyond the table, table 2 area of the main section. And as you'd hope, a really nice atmosphere in the Barnsley Metrodome tonight, finals night, trophies to be won. Nice containing shot, that. Okay, could have got it off, but I think he always had it under control. And if nothing else, in the 13 minutes we've played tonight, he's kept Ronnie quiet, and he couldn't manage that at all. Pointed out early on the couple of safety errors which allowed Ronnie a sniff of a chance, which he completely devoured in all of the 3 frames, which led up to the break. But he needs to take the sting out of things tonight a little bit, Kyren, because it was all one-way traffic at the end of that session.
In some ways, the worst thing for Kyren Wilson is that Ronnie O'Sullivan really, really respects him. And what I mean by that is he's not going to take any liberties at all, O'Sullivan. He's got a lot of time for Kyren Wilson. On his programme that was here on Eurosport a year or so back, he went to Kyren's club and spent some time with him and said some very nice things about him. And it looks like he's forced an error.
Yes, it's the cue ball not getting past the bulk line problem that we saw a couple of times earlier. But even this opening red and getting onto a colour is not entirely straightforward. Well, that's very sweet cueing. As you can see, once again, this camera angle telling you, or reminding everyone, that the table is quite lengthy, and those sort of shots you've got to hit perfectly well. Well, the red that's either on or near the black spot is causing him 1 or 2 problems. When he pots the black, if he plays on it here, may not be potable into both corner pockets. I think that's why he's gone up for the blue, because he'd like to take the red before he pots the black. So I suspect, knowing Ronnie snooker brain, he might be trying to get on that red near the black spot now. Well, he doesn't miss a trick, does he, O'Sullivan?
13.
And that is the art of break building. However,
14.
he over-stunned that one. He's furious that he didn't go past the reds. For him, it was a fairly basic shot. Just to stun run through, missed the 3 reds. But he got into the cue ball too much. Enraged by that. To the point where he couldn't even take that shot on. That's a mistake, and quite a bad one.
Sullivan, 14.
Well, it's another great long pot from Wilson. It wasn't the best safety from O'Sullivan. to at least let him get his hand on the table, but another good pot. Pretty fearless character, Kyren Wilson. On his 18th birthday, he took part in a skydive from 13,000 feet for charity. Well, that's gone wrong.
That's a really poor shot. Both players tonight have played out of character, poorly played positional shots. Not sure what he tried to do there. I think he probably tried to avoid hitting that red. And he couldn't have finished any worse, that cue ball. So, a little bit of nerves. His fourth final. Understandable. First in the United Kingdom. Looking at O'Sullivan, 43 ranking tournament finals. Never mind anything else that he's done. All those Masters victories don't count for your ranking. Been there and done it all, but he's still edgy. Oh, that's a great shot. That's a fine piece of cueing.
7.
Again, the pace he hits it at, I mean, that's a hard shot to play firmly when you're underneath the cushion.
Big shot coming up here, though, to continue. Just caught the knuckle of the pocket. Still on the red, though, to the left corner. He's certainly striking the ball with a lot of authority, isn't he? He's making his intent clear this evening.
Well, put it this way, he potted more difficult long pots than that one tonight. And oddly enough, kind of hit the wrong side of it, actually. Didn't get anywhere near the pot. So these guys are not machines, as we're seeing here, because it was machine-like towards the end of the session, but a few hours off, and players have come back, and it's not quite the same level of performance.
Ronnie O'Sullivan, 1.
No, it's almost like they're kind of trying too hard in a way. O'Sullivan to just kill it off without any comebacks, and Wilson, obviously, to get right back into it. But a fascinating start. Wilson 17 in front. Needing to win this mini session, ideally 4-0, certainly 3-1. He'd be 7-5 down then at the interval. But of course there might not be an interval.
Foul, a miss. Ronnie O'Sullivan, 4.
Should be going back, I should think, although Ronnie might look at the long straight red. He's very attacking, very ambitious. If he feels he's right behind it, he's almost paying a compliment to Kyren if he plays it by thinking, well, I know that you'll get this snooker escape right sooner rather than later. Yes, and he felt that that was within his capabilities. So eventually a good decision. A little bit awkward, the two remaining reds after the one that he's going to take now. That's the first question. Will the red pot, is there enough of it sticking out next to the green? He seems to think there is. And that was the other problem. I think he tried to shift that red into open play.
Kyren sat with the rest in his corner.
Yeah, the old adage in the snooker club, never stand with the rest in your hand, they used to say. Don't quite know what it meant, but...
Like a lot of old adages.
It's one of those things, it meant nothing.
14.
Well, he's sitting down anyway, isn't he? Not standing, so... Anyway, this is the shot. I know that he's flicked the green a little awkwardly, but could play to move the red here. Stun round. Oh, he's played it with check side. It's the most delightful shot you could ever wish to see. Magnificent.
Well, it's like he had sat-nav on the cue ball here. The judgment, the pace, everything.
Yes, he played it with right-hand check side. Honestly, what a shot. It's nearly so good. The red almost went in the middle bag.
21.
So the other problem I mentioned about the green now, the question of getting an angle on it. Yes, if he plays a yellow, of course, it will come out again, because he's actually playing it as the colour. Not a question of getting on the green this time around. Well, he's had a little look.
23.
He will need, up to and including the brown, I believe Kyren needing a snooker, touch of right-hand side on this.
25.
It's very good. It doesn't want to be too straight. Oh, what a shot. What a shot this is. This clearance has been just irresistible. It's not a big break, but it's just the way he's taken them. The shot on the last red and that shot on the green. Right. Any snooker player
32.
to whatever level watching could only admire those shots.
So a frame that
37.
could have gone either way. Chances on both sides. In the end, O'Sullivan has produced a little bit of magic to win it.
43.
And if Kyren Wilson's got any chance of winning this tournament, he's got to now win the next couple of frames. As O'Sullivan is 5 clear now. He's won the last 4 frames of the final, and he only needs 2 more, and he'll be the winner. Ronnie O'Sullivan leads Kyren Wilson in Barnsley 7-2. Yes, the Steve Davis Trophy is what they're playing for, although in a late twist, it's going to be presented by Jimmy White, one of Steve's old rivals. Looks like it's going to Ronnie O'Sullivan. He's 7-2 up to Kyren Wilson. The frightening thing is you just kind of expected him to knock that in. Off the Wilson break-off. Long pot success for O'Sullivan, 86% in this match.
Eight. 9.
I wonder if Liang Wenbo is watching. Good friend of Ronnie O'Sullivan's, who was here with him actually yesterday. Of course, he made a maximum break earlier in the tournament, for which he's down at the moment to win £42,000, unless someone equals it.
16. 17.
Well, maybe. I think right now, while he'd probably like to make a 1+7, or we think he would, with Ronnie, you never quite know. getting to within the frame and getting the job done tonight would mean a lot to him. He's had a lot of assistance all week. Dr. Stephen Peters has been here. He wants to get over the line in this tournament, I think, more than anything else. He needs to be seen as a threat, I think, as a player. It's been a bit of a drought for him.
24.
Don't know if he can hold for the black here. I think he'll be playing up to something lower in value if he plays that red.
Just been told, actually, that apparently Liang Wenbo is in our studio watching with Jimmy. So he's keeping a close eye on this.
I think he's going to be all right here. I think he'll respect the situation more, and I think that he's playing on lower value colour with the angle he's got, which is quite a wide one.
Yeah, your money's safe.
$28. $29. $36.
There's the pot success, 97%.
Yes, and that was quite a
37.
difficult one. That the previous shot on the black was not perfectly judged for once. He's got to play another recovery shot here, though, from blue. To obviously avoiding the bulk colours down for a red. Not straightforward here. He's getting close to the yellow. That's a lovely shot. He just missed the yellow and the jaws of the middle bag. Or the corner pocket, rather.
42.
Colin Humphries there, respotting the blue. He always, when he sets the table up before every frame, he always starts with the blue because he's a massive Everton fan. And he reckons it's good luck, although I think he means for him rather than them because they got beat 5-2 today. Not a good day for the Merseyside teams.
$43. $47. $48.
Well, he's just got a choice of reds here to either corner pocket with that nice angle.
$53. $54.
Well, he's got options once again. The right-hand red might make others available, but he could just nudge into them as well. Yes, he's played on the loose one. I think that's a good choice because he doesn't need very many more pots. It's another
59.
very fine positional play shot. He still needs another red after this. I think in potting that red, the top one is
60.
available to the right corner. So everything unfolding beautifully. Yes, it certainly goes.
$65.
Well, it's the red he needs. He doesn't want to overthink this.
$66.
Well, what are you supposed to do? He broke off.
$73.
He's playing some
74.
terrific snooker. He really is.
Yes, everything is opened up. When he came to the table, it looked like he could make quite a few, but the Reds were still in a bunch. And one by one, he's got them into play.
82.
It's an artist at work. Break building and shot selection has always been the very highest order.
89.
Chance then to make his third century of the final. Could have had quite a few more, actually.
90. $95. $96.
Career century, 893 coming up. Well, it might not be the close final many wanted, but sometimes you just have to sit back and admire.
102.
And there's been plenty to admire from Ronnie O'Sullivan today.
105.
Yes, it's been a question for a long time of everyone knows what he can do. Everyone's seen it before. We haven't seen it all that much recently. Can O'Sullivan still play to the highest of levels? And he's answered that tonight. He's answered it all week, but this really is the icing on the cake. He's still a great player.
114.
What if Barry Hearn is getting twitchy for the £1 million bonus? Maybe a bit early yet. Of course, if anyone wins all four, they get the £1 million. How many could realistically do that? Not many, but Ronnie O'Sullivan would be in that group. He's one frame away from winning the English Open. He made a magnificent total clearance of 127. And he's 8-2 up, playing sublime snooker. One more frame, and he's our champion.
Thank you, frame 11.
So that
Ronnie
trophy
O'Sullivan to break.
will be Ronnie O'Sullivan's 29th in a world ranking event, 24 years after his first, if he wins this frame. If he doesn't win the tournament, then we're going to see the biggest and most incredible comeback ever, I think.
Well, he's been knocking those in a week, but the barrage of breaks is quite difficult. The pockets seem smaller, don't they?
One.
Well, here we go again, maybe. He's already won 5 frames in this final in which Kyren Wilson has not potted a ball.
Give me a second, please, Ronnie.
Colin Humphries just slotting the pink into position behind the pack.
Interesting stat, actually, Dave, in the semi-finals and finals. Only one frame of all 3 matches to date where there's not been a break over 50. So the standard's very high, and that goes back to frame in the match with O'Sullivan and McGill, the frame where Ronnie missed those 2 blacks off the spot. 6th frame.
8.
Table's been playing well, but the standard has been extremely high.
I think it's been a terrific tournament, and one of the things about the Home Nations events, you get to see so many faces you might not normally see in tournaments.
13. 14.
Very busy period of the calendar coming up, a lot of tournaments, and if O'Sullivan can get on a run, who's to say what sort of damage he can do in this part of the season.
Just flick the red away from the black there to give himself more to play with.
21. 22. 29. 30. 37. 38. 43.
I think it's to get a little bit more difficult now, if that's possible. That's where he'll have to think through what he does next.
44.
He's a bit straight on the blue, doesn't leave all that many options. I better just run through into the bunch. A real queuing shot. It's a beautiful effort. It's just an absolute joy to watch, isn't it? And that's such a difficult shot to make the red spread. But the top spin he had on the ball, the keyboard just accelerated. They're all coming out tonight, Dave, aren't they, all these shots?
Well, if you programmed a computer to play snooker, this is how it would play if you programmed it correctly. Pretty much unplayable.
Yes, he's actually got awkward queuing, despite a brilliant shot like that. He's recovered it very well. You never know what's going to happen next, but it appears that he's on this surge of form.
Give me a second, please, Ronnie.
Pockets seem enormous to him.
I wonder if John Higgins did him a slight favour by winning that tournament in India, just to move ahead of him on the all-time list. I think as O'Sullivan, as his career doesn't come towards an end, because clearly it's nowhere near the end, but as he's on sort of the back nine, as it were, he is noticing
56.
records more and more and focusing on maybe his place in the game, in the game's history.
57.
Now, his place in the game history is right up there. There'll always be the debate as to the greatest of all time, and people will always say O'Sullivan or Hendry, or even
64.
man of the trophies named after Steve Davis. But
65.
when it comes to Stephen Hendry, wonderful as he wasn't even a professional at the age that Ronnie is now. He'd retired from competitive play.
So snooker's required. There's never been anyone as good as this. Don't care what anyone says.
Well, I'm with you on that.
73.
Well, it'd be just like him to finish with another century, wouldn't it? Be a proud moment for him to join Higgins on 29 ranking events, going past
81.
his boyhood hero Steve Davis to collect the Steve Davis trophy. He was in a bit of hibernation earlier in the season while everyone else was playing. He wasn't playing in tournaments, but
87.
he's back and, well, is as good as ever.
88.
Yes, these Home Nations events last year proved very difficult to win, difficult to predict who'd win. Had the tournament favourite winning it.
94.
Mark Selby was high in the list of
95.
betting from the sponsors, but the fact is, despite it being 7 matches and best of 7s for a few days, the class of O'Sullivan has come through all of that, and he's come from a difficult draw, and right now, at this moment in time, he looks to be playing snooker in a league of his own.
Yes, 4th century of the final to win the championship. Kyren Wilson had one of his own, but what are you supposed to do against an O'Sullivan in this sort of form?
Final thing I'll say, Dave, pot success in a final, 98% pot success in a best of 17 frame final.
107.
That stat alone is all you need to know.
Yeah, quite incredible.
He's missed 6 pots all day.
110.
Well, he's got it all, hasn't he? He's got the skill, he's got the nerve,
114.
he's got the self-confidence, he's got the charisma. He's a star that any sport would want involved in any of its events. And in snooker, he's got every shot in the book, and we've seen them today.
Thank you.
We've seen them again in this winning break. 132 to finish. Snooker players come and snooker players go, but there's only one Ronnie O'Sullivan, and here's our champion in Barnsley. And even by his high standards, that was an incredible performance. 4 centuries, a string of other big breaks. He wins the first leg of the Home Nation Series, the English Open, beating Kyren Wilson by 9 frames to 2.
Ladies and gents, let's have a round of applause for both players after a wonderful final. Kyren Wilson and Ronnie O'Sullivan. I don't really know what to say to you. I suppose if you can take anything from it, it's sort of irrelevant who is sat in that seat this afternoon, this evening. He was just brilliant.
Yeah, he was. I'm just so frustrated at myself, to be honest. I kept catching my safeties too thick, and as soon as you leave one poking out for Ronnie, he's just going to knock it in and clear up. And, you know, it's fine margins. You can't be too hard on yourself. But, yeah, he was class all throughout today.
Was one big turning point in frame 3 when you went in off the pink and then you left the black over the hole?
Yeah, you know, it didn't feel like it at the time because it's still only, I think it was for 2-1. But, you know, in hindsight, looking back, it was obviously a very big frame. But, you know, it's, again, fine margins. The black nearly crept in. Who knows?
What can you take from this? You have, after all, got to the final of a major ranking event.
I just keep getting battered in finals. You know, it's just how hard it is nowadays. You come up against the big boys in the finals. It's where I want to be. It's what I've practiced very hard for. I just want to get past 3 frames, to be honest.
Well, listen, I'm sure we'll see you in many finals, of course, in the future. Sadly, it wasn't your day, but thank you so much. A round of applause for our runner-up. You've had worse days, haven't you?
Not many, no, that was probably as good, well, I say as good as I could play amongst the balls. You know, I made some really good breaks, and out of all the breaks I made, I think one of the best ones, the most important one, was at 6-2, you know. Red on the cushion, got it out, put it over the middle, so, you know, I was really crafting breaks, you know, today, and I felt good amongst the balls, and, you know, there's still a little bit of room for improvement on certain shots, and so, you know, I'm just going to keep driving myself on to try and get to a high level. But, you know, I just want to congratulate Kyren on another great tournament. It's his 2nd final this season. He will be, in my mind, you know, a top player for the next 20 years, undoubtedly be a world champion. And, you know, so, you know, he's the man of the future, man for the present and the future. And I'm just enjoying sort of trying to hold on to him, you know. Because I was hanging on in that early, like Kyren says, you know, them first 4 frames, they could have gone differently, but I was just hanging on there. And, you know, I just had to stay focused and just try and just, you know, allow myself to play.
You did play fantastic from start to finish. In the whole afternoon and evening session combined, you missed just 6 balls you went for, which is an astounding pot success. I think 98%, you knocked in 4 tons. It could have been 5 or 6. How do you rate that performance, Ronnie?
Yeah, no, I mean, listen, it was very, very good, you know, and it had to be very, very good. You know, you don't play that well unless you feel like you have to. You know, if I'd have been playing one of the bottom-ranked players, I might have, you know, got out the blocks a bit slow. Because I knew I was playing Kyren, I knew I had to be on my game for the world go, otherwise it could have been, you know, easy. The score could have been the other way round. But that's what keeps you on your toes. That's what keeps you training hard. It's what keeps you eating healthy. It keeps you, you know, just trying to sort of keep younger.
And listen, I know, of course, you won the Masters. Your last ranking event was last year, February, the Welsh Open. This is number 29, so it puts you, of course, level with John Higgins now, 1 ahead of Steve Davis and catching up Stephen Hendry. What's it like to win another ranking event?
It's just great to win another ranking event, but obviously I just want to thank, you know, Eurosport and Discovery. They've supported me fantastic for the last 2 or 3 years. My sponsor, Bet Chris, have been like amazing. Rigor as well, you know, these are the people that have supported me. Steve Peters and my mate there, John Scash, John from Liverpool, cooking all my dinners for me, making me strong, you know, and so there's a lot of people to thank, and you know, because otherwise, without a team around you that support you, it wouldn't be as much fun, and it probably wouldn't be possible.
And finally, I have to ask, how is the foot now?
No, the foot's all right, you know. I think it was I think the trainers need to take some credit, don't they?
What trainers would they be, Ronnie?
Saccone.
Oh, OK. And finally, no Nan running around the table to pop the last black at the end. Always a bit of a disappointment, that.
I told her she's got to stay at home.
Oh, right, OK. Listen, well done. Congratulations. Your new English Open champion. Ladies and gents, please welcome your presentation party from the WPBSA, Martin Clark, and the ambassador of Dapperbert, the whirlwind of London, Jimmy White! Firstly, a cheque for £30,000 goes to your runner-up. Please show your appreciation for Kyren Wilson! For £70,000, the Steve Davis Trophy and the title of English Open Champion 2017 goes to the Rocket, Ronnie O'Sullivan!
So Ronnie O'Sullivan's 29th world ranking title. Equal with John Higgins, now second on the all-time list. Stephen Hendry, of course, retired on 36. But on this sort of form, if he produces this sort of snooker with all the tournaments to come, who's to say he can't get there in a couple of years' time? And I think it will mean something to him that it's named in honour of Steve Davis, as I say, his boyhood idol. He's got another idol there, Jimmy White, presenting him with the prize.
Ladies and
now
gentlemen,
the
because
pictures
it's finished so quickly, there will be an
Martin
exhibition
Clark as well,
in
a
15
former
minutes
player, now
time
tournament
featuring
director
Jimmy White and Liang Wenbo.
with
15
World
minutes
Snooker.
time.
Liang Wenbo looked pretty happy as well, not just for his powerful winning, but of course the maximum prize, £42,000 will be going to him. But Ronnie O'Sullivan, 70,000 as the winner, and also, of course, leg 1 of 4 for the £1 million bonus. Here's his friends, Jason Francis, his manager, and various friends coming in for pictures as well. He played great all week, he really has. Of course, he had that tough match with John Higgins in the last 16, 4-3, and yesterday against Anthony McGill, he really pushed him hard, but he's finished with 12 centuries. Incredible number of centuries for a tournament where most of the matches were best of 7, and just in the final was sensational in the end. 5 centuries, just brilliant snooker. And unplayable, really. Kyren Wilson, as I say, himself play well, but what are you supposed to do? Leave one ball on, and O'Sullivan takes full advantage. That's what he did. He will move on. They'll have a week off now. He'll move on to Daqing in China for the International Championship. That's our next snooker on Eurosport in a week's time. And then plenty of tournaments after that. The Champion of Champions, the Shanghai Masters, and then, of course, leg 2 of the Home Nation Series, the Northern Ireland Open in Belfast. That starts on the 20th of November, and then straight to the UK Championship. So a lot of snooker to come heading into Christmas. But there's a picture we've seen many times before, Ronnie O'Sullivan holding a trophy. And this one, as I say, quite special, bearing the name of Steve Davis. I think from Kyren Wilson's point of view, we could see he was disappointed, and I think that's a good thing, really, for him. Even though he's been outplayed, he knows the level he's got to get to. But as Ronnie himself said, there's time on Kyren Wilson's hand. He's time on his side, I should say. He's only 25. Even this man can't play forever, although you watch him play like that and you wonder, well, how long can he go on for? This is a man, after all, who many times has threatened to retire. He did go away for most of one season before coming back to win the World Championship. Just an incredible figure in any sport. As I say, any sport would love to have him. He creates headlines, he creates interest, he brings in the crowds. And more importantly than anything, he plays his chosen sport to an incredibly high level. And he's been in a very good mood all week, which I think also helps. He said Dr. Steve Peters was with him, just keeping him in the right frame of mind to go out there and play the matches. Managed to swerve his Eurosport punditry duties, but I'm sure had he got knocked out, he would have been in the studio. He enjoys that side of it as well. And now he's just going around the arena so that the fans paid their money to come and see him can get their pictures, a few handshakes as well. A memorable evening. Okay, it wasn't as long as many people maybe thought or hoped it would be, but they've seen something special today. It was almost like watching an exhibition at times, just the way he played, as if he wasn't under any pressure at all. But a superb performance from Ronnie O'Sullivan. It was great to be here to watch it, and who's to say how many more tournaments he'll win this season. Ronnie O'Sullivan, our champion, as we go back to the studio, and Andy Goldstein.